An already deported illegal immigrant lights a woman on fire, kills her in the New York City subway system, and Biden is commuting everybody on federal death row pretty much. We'll dive into this, one of our last Buck briefs of the year. Let's start with this absolutely monstrous attack in the New York City subway system. Burned a woman to death. An illegal Guatemalan, an illegal alien from Guatemala, lit a sleeping woman on fire in a subway car. She's dead. One of the most horrific and painful ways that a person could die imaginable in the New York City subway system. We won't show the video here because it is too horrific, but there is video of the woman on fire. And it is absolutely, it is the stuff of nightmares. And it just happened on the F train in New York City, a train I have taken hundreds, if not thousands of times. It is a reminder to all New Yorkers just how absolutely lawless these subways can be. And also a reminder to the whole country of the costs of pandering to illegals for so many years. The single most important thing that Donald Trump can do, that the new administration can do in 2025, is deport every illegal alien criminal out of the country. Every single one out of the country, gone. That's the single most important policy agenda item for Donald Trump and his whole team. I have been told by all of them, including the president himself, that they will do this and that they will pursue this. But I think we all understand what the stakes are here. Our country was in the process of being completely given away by the Democrats. Absolutely horrific stuff. And people have suffered murders, rapes, all kinds of heinous crimes from illegals who should have been deported, many of whom were in custody, many of whom have already committed crimes. They should have been expelled right away. They were not. An affirmative decision was made by the government, the same government that says if you don't pay your taxes, you go to prison. If you do any number of minor process crimes, you can go to prison. If you're a J6 defendant and you walked in the Capitol, you go to prison. That same government says illegals can get away with all this stuff. Why? Because to enforce our immigration laws is racist. And nothing is worse than the false charge of racism, right? Or rather, nothing is worse than being called a racist, even if it is false, as it is when we talk about enforcing immigration laws. These are laws duly passed by Congress. Every country around the world that anybody wants to go to, and even a lot that don't have people that want to go to them, have borders, have immigration laws. They're able to enforce them. No one says it is racist. But no, we have to be full of white guilt in this country. We have to be the welfare state for the whole third world. Everybody gets to come here. They get to not learn English. They get to not obey our laws. They get to not actually be a net benefit to the American people of all different races, creeds, colors. And we're supposed to just sit here and take it? No more. This illegal was deported. The one who committed the heinous crime in the New York City subway system lit a woman on fire. Think about that. Actually, don't think about it. You'll have nightmares. It's the most horrific thing imaginable. She died, lit her on fire. Immolation. This guy was already deported from the country. He was already sent back to Guatemala. And then he snuck back into the country. Let me be clear. That's a felony. If you're deported and you come back, that's a felony. And I bring it up just because they should have been on the lookout for this guy. They should have been able to pick him up. They should have been able to put him in a federal prison for 10 years and then send him to Guatemala. He should have been on the streets at all. But these laws aren't enforced. NYPD is not allowed to enforce these laws. It's a disgrace. Honestly, it is such a disgrace. And then there's Biden. Speaking of disgrace, commuting sentences, including of child rape and murderers, child rapists and murderers. That's what Biden's doing on his way out the door. We'll get to this here in a second. Look, I understand that bills are piling up for a lot of people. It's the holidays. A lot of expenses come together here. I know it's a time for joy and families, but it can also be a time of a lot of financial stress. What can you do if those bills are just piling up too high? Done with debt. They've got aggressive new strategies designed to get you out of debt permanently without bankruptcy or loans. Done with Debt stands between you and bill collectors. They negotiate with your creditors to write off balances, cut interest, and stop penalties. They have a plan to put more money in your pocket month one, and Done with Debt is accepting new clients right now, but you need to hurry because some of their debt strategies are time sensitive and you don't want to miss out. Let Done with Debt help you make your money yours again. Go to donewithdebt.com or call 888-322-1054. Chat with one of their debt relief strategists for free. Go to donewithdebt.com. That's donewithdebt.com. So Biden commutes the most federal death sentences ever, 37 inmates. Now we're going to serve life without parole. There are 3 involved in cases of terrorism and hate-motivated mass murder that still face execution. So this is what Biden's decided to do. Talk about, undermining our justice system and also just our basic sense of justice. This is a moment where you see what the Democrat Party is really doing. They want to tear down everything that is civilized and defend civilization in this country. They are communists in their heart. They are communists. Honestly, they don't think that criminals are the bad people. The people that tell you criminals are the bad people, those are the bad people, like me and you. And they want to do something like this. And you'd say the people who are on federal death row are guilty. They've been adjudicated guilty. They're guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. They've had many appeals. It's almost impossible to get on federal death row. It's really hard. You have to be a really, truly horrific and 100% guilty person. But this is the Democrat Party on the way out. The Democrat Party has decided to show you, or the Biden regime has decided to show you, they are lawless. They are on the side of chaos and barbarians and savages. And they do this because they think it makes them feel good about themselves. And also they're deeply insecure. There's something off about the psychology, about the mentality of these Democrats. And so they do things like this. Joe Biden does something like this. I think that the death penalty is something that reasonable people can have some disagreements on it and the application of it. But when you're looking at the individual, some of the people that have done this, first of all, we're always told, but the people that are innocent. Does anyone really think any of these federal death penalty, now off death row individuals were innocent? Really? They also love to lie to you about people being executed in places. There's this whole movement of people. I just saw this recently. Whole movement of people that will, in the most obvious case of extreme guilt possible, right? Where no human being with 2 brain cells rubbed together could think someone's innocent. There's this whole apparatus, like Innocence Project and all this, and they come together and they just start bleeding online about how this guy, there's reasonable doubt, this guy was innocent, undermining the system, doing the work of the demons, honestly, undermining justice, undermining morality and decency itself by making it all so confusing. Well, I guess we can never know, right? How can you have any justice if you can never know? That's their attitude. But of course, they could know, like J6 people, they knew, they're terrible, lock them up. 20 years, guys who weren't even there, 20 years for conspiracy. That they'll do. Lock up J6 people. If they don't like your politics, this is like all the communists. This is communists in the Chinese Communist Revolution, the Soviet Revolution. Find me a communist revolution anywhere. And if they don't like you, you're to be destroyed. If you're a monster who murders lots of people, I don't know. Maybe you serve a purpose. And that's the way they do this. Just what could be more demonic than that? What could serve the purposes of evil better than such a grotesque embrace of injustice? And, Biden is a feeble, dementia-addled fool, as we all know. He was always dumb, and now he's demented and dumb. And they just show you who they are on the way out. The Democrat Party is really unrepentant for how horrific they have been, not just to Trump, but how horrific they've been in power. And their tears, their sadness is a wonderful thing because it is justice. They should be deeply upset. They should be feeling terrible about things because they've earned it. And with things like what Biden just did, commuting the sentences of death row inmates, Probably because it's racist. Oh, I don't even know what the races are of the death row, and it doesn't matter. It's racist. That's what they'll say. This is the ultimate fallback of the morons. It's just like in the communist revolutions. They're against the revolution, so anything is justified. Then it's really crazy when you think about it. Look, if you're an investor, I know it's hard to get good advice out there, and that's why I want you to check out Brad Thomas. He's a really smart guy, and he's an expert in the world's largest asset, an asset that's bigger than stocks and bonds combined. He's consulted the president previously and amassed more than $1 billion in business transactions. Brad launched his own New York Stock Exchange-listed ETF. He's on a mission to help everyday investors in the stock market. He's sharing the insights he's gained from his network of investors that have followed his direction. Those followers have seen gains greater than 40% a year. Brad is opening membership to his research in a whole new way. And he says there's an investment you got to move your money into before the end of the year, so it's time sensitive. Do your own due diligence. Check it out for yourself. Make your own decision. Go see bradalert.com. That's bradalert.com. He wants to share this with you. He's got a presentation for you. bradalert.com, paid for by Wide Moat Research. Now, on the good news side of things right now, I got to tell you, I was happy to see my friend Bridge Colby has been named a Deputy Secretary of Defense. So this new Trump administration is coming in and putting some great people in some key positions. Bridge and I go way back. It's pretty funny, actually. I think back to this now. I was just a little junior CIA guy, junior analyst. That wasn't my title, but I was in my early 20s, 24, 25. Bridge, I think at that time was maybe I forget. I think he was at the State Department for a little while, but we would occasionally cross paths in D.C., have a drink. We always got along very well. I'm like, this guy's sharp. He's going places. Now he's going to be, I think, either Undersecretary or Deputy Secretary of Defense for policy, which is a very important position in the Pentagon, policy planning or policy. And I think he's going to do a great job. So, that's encouraging. There's some encouraging news on the how things are going to go here in the final stages of transition. Makes me happy, I've got to say. And the other thing I wanted to share with all of you is that I really wanted to circle back to. It's all about these deportations, getting the deportations done. Absolutely critical. Has to turn this around. Has to change the incentive structure. Tom Homan, the fate of the nation is kind of on Tom and Trump's shoulders, and they have to get this done. Because if we continue to be a place that takes in 10 million every 4 years illegals, it's not America anymore. I don't know what this place is. It's just not America anymore. I'm already worried that maybe it isn't the America we thought we were living in based on how lawless it has been and how much of a destruction of our sovereignty has already occurred. But I'm hopeful that Trump and his team can fix this and also get us out of backing an endless war in Ukraine. And, the people that have been pushing for that war the whole time, they're going to say, well, he stopped Ukraine from becoming part of Russia. Well, a part of Ukraine is going to become part of Russia, probably. And how many people have died in this conflict? And how much earlier could it have been ended? Those will be the questions we'll want to focus on. Our sponsor is the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. They wish you a blessed beginning of the holiday season as you gather with your families, grateful for the blessings that God has given us. Also remember those who are facing hardships and in need of fellowship right now. Israelis are particularly thankful to the fellowship for food and basic assistance, life-saving items, and your gift of $25 will help provide a food box to an elderly Jew or a Jewish family who are suffering and in desperate need. A gift of $100 will help provide 4 of these life-saving food boxes. This holiday season, please consider standing with Israel and the Jewish people. Go to supportifcj.org to make a gift now. That's supportifcj.org. We're called to give at 888-488-IFCJ. That's 888-488-4325. One more pod for the year, my friends. Shields high.